Key stops off the Natchez Trace Parkway in southwest Mississippi. Traveling across Mississippi, consider driving the Natchez Trace Parkway, which roughly follows the historic Natchez Trace. This centuries-old highway is now a National Scenic Trail and a unit of the National Park Service. Traveled first by the Natchez, Chickasaw, and Choctaw Indians, French and Spaniards also followed the well-worn path to explore and expand and even map this rugged but dependable route in the south of the New World. Since most people are speeding along the interstates, there is very little vehicular traffic. It's smooth sailing in the lovely scenery from the northeast corner of Mississippi to the far reaches of the southwest corner of the Magnolia State. The key cities of Tupelo, Jackson, and Natchez are easily accessed from the Natchez Trace Parkway. There are many scenic and historic stops spanning centuries of life in America along the way. I will show you some of the most popular stops, and I do want to show you the off and on the beaten path sites that I most especially liked in the first 80 miles of the trace. Travel across America with me to see some of the best stops in the southwestern leg of the Natchez Trace Parkway in the southern state of Mississippi, the old southwest of this nation's early history. We will even stray from the parkway to majestic mansion ruins, but that's okay. Sit back, my armchair travelers, and enjoy. And for you, my trucker friends, I hope you enjoy the history and views as you watch and listen while traveling the interstates that crisscross the southern pine and hardwood forest tree-studded state. The rest of you, I hope to motivate you to explore this part of our southern history. I do want to remind you to be sure to check the park website for any important closures. In the late 1700s, Ohio River Valley farmers that used the riverways of the Ohio and Mississippi rivers to sell their goods in the far reaches of Natchez and New Orleans used the 450-mile roadway to walk back to Ohio. Known as cane tucks, these men sold their wooden flatboats as lumber because they couldn't go upriver with them. No engines yet. Can you imagine walking from New Orleans to the Ohio River Valley? As we drive this historic road, take your mind to the variety of men and women who walk this wilderness way, the most direct route to the population centers of the Midwest and the East at that time. The modern Natchez Trace Parkway was started in the late 1930s. The automobile was providing a newfound freedom to the general public to explore terrific places, like I will be presenting in this video. Because of its historic significance and scenic qualities, the National Scenic Byways program designated the Parkway an all-American road. Today, the Parkway gives present-day travelers an unhurried route. The Parkway reaches from Natchez to Nashville and was finally completed in May of 2005. Let's start in the city of Natchez, for this terminus is where the mileposts begin. There are 310 miles of roadway from here to the Alabama border. Let's explore the first 80 miles together. One could easily spend a day perusing the sights at Bluff Point along the mighty Mississippi River and the Great River Road in Natchez. In Natchez, you could explore the Mississippi waterfront. Natchez experienced occupation by the French, British, and Spaniards, as did much of our nation. Spanish colonization of Natchez in 1779 led to the founding of the city of Natchez, circa 1790. Walk the downtown city streets to see the antebellum structures. Think back how cotton and trade made this city a commercial and cultural capital of the Old South. Faded signage explains key structures along the main streets. Take a few minutes to see the museum displays at the William Johnson House, part of the Natchez National Historical Park. Learn about the business of barbering. Yes, I said barbering. And for sure, go to the Melrose site. We spent an hour at that national park unit. Peruse the grounds and tour the structures, representing one of the most completely preserved antebellum estates in Natchez. Now let's hop on to the Natchez Trace Parkway, trending in a northeasterly direction. Our first pull-off is at the Elizabeth Female Academy, milepost 5.1. The Natchez Trace was still active and Mississippi had just become a state when the Elizabeth Female Academy opened its doors in November of 1818. Much can be learned about the culture of early Mississippi here in the community of Washington. As the young state's first capital, it boasted churches, advanced learning societies, and two institutions of higher education, Jefferson College, 1811, and the Elizabeth Female Academy. Progressive thinking for that day, it was the first institution of higher learning for women. Follow the path to your right to see what is left of the academy and learn more about the people who once made Washington the cultural center of Mississippi. Our next pull-off is at the Emerald Mound at milepost 10.3. Before you is the second largest temple mound in the United States. Only Monk's Mound in Cahokia, Illinois, is larger. This 8-acre mound, constructed from a natural hill, was built and used from about 1300 to 1600 by the Mississippians, ancestors of the Natchez Indians. Unlike dome-shaped mounds constructed only for burials, emerald mounds supported temples, ceremonial structures, and burials of a complex society's chic and religious leaders. I know you won't be surprised for me to tell you that I have been to Cahokia Mounds, where you will find Monk's Mound. Please see the link in the description below to see this incredible video on Cahokia Mounds. Truly impressive. While you are making a note to go see that video, I have a question. Are you a subscriber? If not, please subscribe and join our traveling team. Pull off at milepost 15.5 and plan to spend about 45 minutes at the Mount Locust Inn and Plantation. Here you will find the restored Mount Locust Stand, which is one of the earliest and most well-known inns on the Trace. Mount Locust remains as the only one of more than 50 inns that existed between 1785 and 1830 along the 500-mile-old Trace. It has been restored to its 1810 appearance, the time when travel on this historic road reached its peak. Constructed circa 1780, this home is one of the oldest structures in Mississippi. It functioned as both a working plantation and as an inn, where travelers on the Natchez Trace could rest for the night. And before you is the Mount Locust Slave Cemetery. Only one unmarked stone remains. The names of persons known to be buried here are listed below. I enjoyed this stop a lot. There are 5 developed sections of the Natchez National Scenic Trail, over 60 miles worth. It is easily accessed from many stops we will be making in this video. The Podcopinu section lies between milepost 17 and 20. Podcopinu is the Natchez Indian word for Little Valley. We are going to exit the Natchez Trace Parkway at milepost 30 to take a pretty decent drive to the Windsor Ruins. I am just going to show you a few pictures because I have already posted a video on this amazing place. To hear the story of the ruins and balustrade is not to be missed. You can also exit milepost 40 at Port Gibson to reach the Windsor Ruins, regaining the parkway in either direction. Next stop, Sunken Trace, found just north of the exit for Port Gibson at milepost 41.5. Preserved here is a portion of the deeply eroded or sunken Old Trace. Hardships of journeying on the Old Trace included heat, mosquitoes, poor food, hard beds, if any, disease, swollen rivers, and sucking swamps. Take 5 minutes to walk this sunken trail and let your imagination carry you back to the early 1800s when people walking 500 miles had to put up with these discomforts, and where a broken leg or arm could spell death for the lone traveler. Moving northeasterly along the Natchez Trace Parkway, we find another mound. This one is named Mangum Mound, found at milepost 45.7. You will also be able to reach the Grindstone Ford. Traveling the Natchez Trace takes you back in time. 2 layers of history that shaped the old trace are found at this milepost. An ancient burial ground with some creepy kind of information like high infant mortality, and upon the death of a chief, a brutal ritual was enacted in which his retainers were slain and buried with him. All kind of creepy. These mounds have some interesting history and information as modern scientists have dug into them, literally. The Grindstone Ford was the threshold between civilization and the wilderness on the old Natchez Trace. You will want to see both of these sites because it's all a part of the history of this trail. Now we're going to cross the parkway to the Grindstone Ford site, and this ford marked the beginning of the wilderness of the Choctaw Nation and the end of the old Natchez district. Nearby, Fort Deposit was a supply depot for troops clearing the trace in 1801 to 1802, and troops were assembled here during the Burr Conspiracy, allegedly to separate the western states from the Union. This site takes its name from a nearby watermill. The second section of the scenic trail is between Owens Creek Waterfall at our next stop at milepost 52.4 and continues through to milepost 59. So if you're traveling in 2 cars, one car can park at one end and one at a different milepost, and you can walk from one to the other. It would be kind of fun just to hop across and use the cars to take you from section to section. The sounds of a busy woodland stream and the quiet murmurs of a lazy waterfall have long been stilled here. Only after heavy rainfall does water fill the stream and set the waterfall singing. I was expecting a waterfall, not this. It's still worth stopping. Pull on over. It's okay. One of the most significant and time-consuming stops is Rocky Springs, located at milepost 54.8. A short trail from the upper parking lot area leads to the Old Town site. At the end of this trail is evidence of a once thriving rural community. First settled in the late 1790s, The town grew from a watering place along the Natchez Trace and took its name from the source of that water, the Rocky Spring. In 1860, a total of 2,616 people lived in this area, covering about 25 square miles. And again, it's all completely gone, missing. What do you think? Tell me in the comments below. Where did all this go? And why? The population of the town proper included 3 merchants, 4 physicians, 4 teachers, 3 clergy, and 13 artisans, while the surrounding farming community included 54 planters, 28 overseers, and over 2,000 slaves, who nurtured the crop that made the town possible, cotton. You won't want to skip Rocky Springs. Found at milepost 61 is the lower Choctaw boundary. This stop includes 2 key historic points. As I read the signs, let your imagination roll back 225 years. This was the time after the American Revolution and the time of the Lewis and Clark expedition. The line of trees to your left has been a boundary for over 200 years. It was established in 1765 and marked the eastern limits of the old Natchez district. This boundary ran from a point 12 miles east of Vicksburg southward to the 31st parallel. And then the other sign reads, Red Bluff Stand. John Gregg, at the lower Choctaw line, respectfully informs the public and travelers particularly that he keeps constantly on hand a large and general supply of groceries, ground coffee, good for him, ready to put up, sugar, biscuits, cheese, dried beef or bacon, and every other article necessary for the accommodation of travelers going through the nation. Thanks, John. And he says these were all on very reasonable terms. Established in 1802, this hostelry on the Indian boundary was for several years the last place a northbound traveler could get provisions. I bet he made a lot of money. Some sites have not physical traces, just memories, like this one. Our next pull-offs will be at milepost 73.5, Dean's Stand site and the Battle of Raymond. We found the Civil War battle site from the Vicksburg campaign in 1863, here at the Battle of Raymond. The Treaty of Doak Stand, 1820, opened this land to white settlement. Land was quickly claimed and pioneer families established themselves in this wilderness. The Deans supplemented their farm income by offering lodging to travelers. Smart move. They had Airbnbs before it was cool. On the night of May 12, 1863, General U.S. Grant made his headquarters here after the Battle of Raymond. And as you can see, the Battle of Raymond sign needs some love. Reached the tiny town of Raymond, just shy of milepost 80. There we saw some contemporary historical information. We are now on the Blues Trail. The McCoy brothers, Joe McCoy and his brother Charlie McCoy, both born on a farm near Raymond, performed and recorded widely during the pre-World War II era. But their most important legacy may rest with the songs they wrote or co-wrote. These include Corinne Carina, which became a folk music standard, When the Levee Breaks, which was covered by Led Zeppelin, and Why Don't You Do Right, a hit for both blues singer Lil Green and pop star Peggy Lee. We stop now for the evening. Have you stopped to subscribe yet and leave a comment? What did you like the best? We've seen a lot, and I hope I have whetted your appetite to explore as much as you can of this historic trace that has been preserved for us to experience. Flip-flops on the ground. Unclassic road trip. Be sure to check out my video on the Cahokia Mounds and on the Windsor Ruins, both truly thought-provoking sights. Please share this video and my channel with a friend.